general nerdery.
So I had to stop in Barnes and Noble before coming here today, picking up a care package for stuff. Not important. But while I was there, because I stopped by the comic section, because of course I did, I'm in a bookstore and I'm me. And there's youths. There's high school era.
Some utes.
Utes. Some high school era young men. And I am making myself sound older and older the more I try to say that. But anyways, they have the look of,
The utes?
The utes. The average looking cool guys from high school of like any generation in Montana. And I'm like, okay, that is weird they're standing here or in a bookstore, but sure. And then as I'm like looking at stuff, I'm overhearing them because they're very excited talking. And they are picking a manga that they're all going to read together and then watch the anime and review together. And I'm like, holy shit, life has changed since I was their age in 2005.
Did you hear what they were landing on?
I did not, and I'm not that willing to like get close to the youths. Not in like a fear kind of way, but just, I'm a heavy-set, bald, bearded man, and my beard's going gray. It looks a little weird when they look up, and I'm just like, looming a little. Like,
yeah.
I love it.
That's a lot of fun.
It made me really happy.
That's a lot of fun. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to General Nerdery, your podcast about liking things. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
And it's really weird not to have Steven.
Yeah, this is the first time in how many times now?
I think since Res Dogs.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So Steven was supposed to be with us here this week, but he moved apartments this week, and as anyone who has moved an apartment knows, that sucks ass. So
true.
He just needed to take some time to himself. So you get the two of us. You also get Thor. So, like, could be worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be a lot worse.
But before we get to that, what have we been ingesting?
What have we... all right, yeah, I got a couple things. Saturday night, I went and watched David Cross perform live.
Oh, yeah. Took me a second to remember who David Cross is.
Yeah,
How was that?
It was awesome. He was really fucking funny. His opener was really fucking funny, too. Sean Patton is the guy's name.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how much I have to say about it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, rehash
and
jokes.
Here's his David Cross joke.
But it was, like, he performed here in town. Apparently, after his last tour where he came here, he really fucking liked it, so...
Missoula is a relatively popular stopping point. Because, like... I mean, unless they stop at Billings, but even then, that's a long drive. There's not a ton between, like... like Minneapolis, Billings, and then like Spokane or Portland is the next one. So Missoula's not a bad place for mid-level bands or stand-up comedians to stop because they tend, especially if you get like the Wilma, you tend to get a pretty good response. And we're a nice town.
Yeah.
Like, that's really what it is.
Yeah, and like, yeah, it sounds like they all went out drinking pretty heavy the night before.
Well, there's a lot of bars downtown, so not difficult.
As the opener pointed out, we're a town of 70,000 with the amount of bars of Chicago.
Shit, really? I don't know if that's true, but I believe it.
I do think that we're like the 7th drunkest city in the nation.
Oh my God.
I think places in Wisconsin have the top 3, but...
Okay, so in fairness, earlier this week I was downtown for completely unrelated reasons and realized that it was the same night that there was... We used to have like a Christmas parade or something like that.
Yeah, it was the holiday thing. That's the same night that the David Cross was.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
So I went and walked through that too, and then we ended up down there.
We walked through like half of it. Cece and I don't do crowds well anymore.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But... Like, it was cool, there's a bunch of shops set up, and we saw some people we know. We had stopped by there was an art show some friends of ours were doing. But, like, in the middle of it is just an outdoor bar that they set up that was fucking packed when it's, like, 30 degrees outside. And I'm like, there's something about the fact that they have a packed outdoor bar and just literal, like, trash
I was
fires.
about to say barrel fires.
Barrel fire. I know it's not trash fire because there wasn't actually trash in it, but like barrel fires every block. I'm like, man, you just can't keep some parts of the spirit of Missoula down, can you? Like,
let's see what else. Red Thor. I finally got around to watching Knives Out and Glass Onion.
how was it? I still want to see them.
They're great.
Are they streaming anywhere, or did you have to?
Yes, Knives Out is on Tubi,
Oh, okay.
and Glass Onion is still on Netflix.
Okay. Do you need to see Knives Out to see Glass
Onion.
I want to see both of
No.
them. No.
I would say no.
Okay.
They're not connected.
Cool.
It would just like, you would know Blanc going into Glass Onion is all. But you don't need to know him to go into Glass Onion. You
No,
just need to know his reputation. Like,
A classic detective character format. Like, you don't need every Sherlock Holmes story in the canon to read a Sherlock Holmes story.
right. Yeah, exactly the same way. You don't need everyone to be able to go into it. Like, they each stand on their own. But I do appreciate that I watch them in that order, though.
We have had Knives Out on a list of potential things for an episode for years now, but it is a weird nightmare to track down like a streaming version of it.
Yeah, Tubi.
All right, that's like free with ads, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, I can deal with ads.
You're more into mysteries than me. I think you're going to really fucking dig both of them.
I did grow up with a healthy amount of Hercule Poirot and Sherlock Holmes.
I really enjoyed them both, but honestly, fucking, for me, like, Glass Onion is way better. But it's partially of how it very smartly pokes fun at some of the different tropes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much more than that, but
I'm into it.
Everyone, like, they're both fucking just
fucking
jam-packed with fucking stars.
Batista,
And everyone is
Edward
awesome.
Norton, Captain America, Chris Evans. I'm forgetting other ones, but like,
Yeah, they're all in there.
I think
It's fucking
ScarJo's
wild.
in one of them.
No ScarJo, but
Okay.
yeah, no, it's all fucking great though. Wait, does she?
I could be wrong.
Well,
She's
I was just
in,
thinking
like,
that
every other Chris Evans movie, so it's a fair guess.
Well, I was just trying to think because there are like one or two people that are in there for just like 5 seconds, and like JGL because he loves working with Ryan Johnson does like a voice in each one, but he doesn't show
JGL?
up. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, if I liked him as much as I did, I think you're gonna really fucking dig him.
I will. Now that I know where I can find it, I will try again. It's one of those that for a while, every few months, I would look up Knives Out, and it just wasn't anywhere.
Right. Let's see. Knives Out, Glass Onion. Dude, to kind of go along with that, like, also another amazing... I was telling you about it when I started watching it, but dude, fucking Interior Chinatown, I got through all of it now. It's brilliant.
It's the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah, kind of.
That's how you've described
Yeah,
it to me. So.
it's the easiest way to describe it. It's a police procedural mystery where the main character is actually the background character.
So, yeah.
But it's kind of, whereas Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead kind of explores like philosophical questions about existence by the fact that they only exist within the confines of the play. This flips that and it goes, okay, what if background players have full lives?
Perfect. Okay, yeah.
And is honestly, dude, it's one of the more brilliantly written things I have ran across in a while because it uses that to not in a preachy way or honestly an even very obvious way, explore like being a minority within like fucking a society that rewards like white privilege and just all sorts of other like societal things. Like how do you survive when you're not the focus? And how do you take that focus and make it onto you? And all sorts of weird things like that. Also, it's just fucking brilliant.
Sounds rad.
Because, yeah, it's fucking wild. The character isn't not meta-aware, but he's not exactly being like, well, if I'm in a crime story, then that means I have to do this.
Yeah.
It's more like, whoa, things are really weird. If I do this, it doesn't seem to work. So how about I try this? Because, a good example is like, oh, he notices nobody even looks at the tech guy. Because they don't look at the tech guy in those shows. Especially if it's like a half hour or like hour weekly like Law and Order.
Yeah, NCIS or whatever.
Yeah. A lot of times those tech guys are literally there just to be like, cool, here's what you asked for.
Yep.
So he's like, if nobody looks at the tech guy, then that means I can be the tech guy.
So he is aware that he is in a piece of fiction?
He's not aware that he's in a piece of fiction, but he's aware that once the like case comes into his life,
mm-hmm.
and like these detectives are around, he's definitely noticing that like reality is being weird around this stuff.
Okay. That was the one thing I wasn't sure about from the thing. Yeah, Disney's hyping it pretty hard too. Like I'm seeing it a lot on Disney Plus's like front screen.
Well, it's fucking genius.
Huh?
Yeah, I highly recommend to like everybody. I'm not even like entirely in love with the way that the season ends. I think I have to rewatch it again, but it's like kind of heavy and layered and not exactly a happy ending, and so it's kind of threw me for a bigger loop than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just still kind of processing and taking in what it all potentially means, because it gets a lot more layered at the very end. And it's like, yeah, kind of a bummer, but
all of your shit makes my shit sound so much less deep.
and then because it dropped, I've been playing a bit of Marvel Rivals this weekend.
How is it? I watched you play a bit, but I don't actually know if it's good because I don't know enough about the format.
That's the thing. It's an Overwatch clone, but I never played Overwatch. So I kind of went in knowing theoretically kind of what to do in it, because I know the kind of shooter that Overwatch is, but that was never my thing. I was always a lot more into things like Battlefield, which is a lot slower. I was going to say more, there's a part of me that wants to say more tactical, but that's not quite it, because team composition and like making use of what your character does in that game is extremely important. But it's a different kind of tactical.
How similar are Overwatch and Fortnite? I've never played either, so I don't.
The speed is the most similar.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say I've played very, very little Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
But what little bit I did play, I would liken more to like an Unreal Tournament.
Okay.
Where it's kind of just like a fast arcade shooter.
I kind of understand what we're talking about with all of these games we're talking about, because
whereas like Rival, this is a lot more Fortnite at a certain point is a lot more solo based from what I understand. Like I said, I didn't play too much either, but it ends up being a little, even I think there are team modes, but even with those, like, it's a lot more solo play. Everybody is balanced to be like their own like singular unit, and it kind of just depends on like what guns you pick up and stuff.
Well,
this is more like you are like in a tank role, you're in a support role, you're in like a DPS role, and you're trying to fulfill that role on your team and close in on an objective.
Okay. See, I don't do multiplayer games, so none of these are things that I am familiar with.
Said These more fast twitch shooters haven't really ever been my thing as much, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. Like, I went into it wanting to be better with Moon Knight because Moon Knight.
Yeah, because you and I are hopeless fanboys.
But I'm kind of more like naturally fitting into being a little bit more of a Namor player, though I am getting the hang of Moon Knight. But honestly, what I'm doing the best with is support classes. I've been doing pretty good with Rocket. I haven't tried out Jeff yet, but Jeff's supposed to be fucking amazingly good support, so.
I just love that sentence. I mean, when you say Jeff the talking, or not talking, if Jeff the land shark, that doesn't actually make it any more clear, but it at least makes it sound more Marvel. But if not, just Jeff.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still kind of frustrating because like all these fucking kids playing it have so much quicker reflexes than I do these days. But
The Thor episode is mostly us just being mad about the youths.
goddamn Utes. I have been pretty happy with how I've been doing though, and like I said, I went into it wanting to be good with Moon Knight. I kind of sucked at the beginning with Moon Knight when I was just like practicing against the computer. But the first match I loaded into him against actual human opponents, I did end up with MVP of the match. So might still end up being a Moon Knight main. And I got to get me that Mr. Knight skin.
That does look pretty rad.
Dude, the Mr. Knight skin, the fucking Black Panther Million BC, and the fucking Wakanda Forever Namor.
Okay, we have to fucking do the Jed McKay Moon Knight run soon. Because, oh my god, I just have feelings that we're not able to share right now.
Right. And then I think that's been about it lately. Of course, fucking Marvel Snap. I've actually been like going kind of hard in the paint with a couple decks just because our increased ink and gold chances end soon.
That's why I have so many more gold ones recently. I don't pay attention to that shit, so
It's a weird thing, like, so for I think at least the past year, the actual values of like your percent chance for getting an ink or gold split has been way higher than what the data mines say that they should be. There's like a bug in their coding somewhere that's causing it to be higher. So there was a pretty big like Discord community that figured this out a long time ago and kept it under wraps. They're like, if we're all getting a bonus, don't fucking say anything. Eventually somebody said something.
Oh, god damn it.
But when they said something, the team at Second Dinner that makes Marvel Snap basically went, cool, so this is what's going on. And even the rates that they say that they're actually at is lower than what they're definitely at from all the data that's been collected. But they have said that coming up in one of the updates, it's being lowered down to what it's supposed to be in the data mines. We'll see.
Let's see, what do I have? So we haven't actually recorded in a while because the holiday curse continues, and also I got sick. Definitely fell into a Star Wars hole again, which is not surprising. While I was sick, because my solution to the flu is to drink a bottle of cough syrup, which my wife got very upset about because that's not good for your liver.
True.
And sleep it off on the couch while watching movies. So we watched. Are you doing something with the lights on your iPad?
On my phone, yeah.
Okay, none of them can see this, but it keeps.
Sorry, I was trying to get it to a spot where I liked it because I just set it up last night.
Okay. Anyways, I watched 6 Star Wars movies in like a 24-hour period.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I did not feel good. I did not get off that couch.
So what did you get through?
Watch Solo, just because I wanted to watch Solo. And then that led to watching Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
And then, like, I'm sitting there with my wife watching Empire. Both of us have seen that movie hundreds of times, I'm sure. It's fucking Empire Strikes Back. And I, like, kind of wake up from a half nap, and she looks and she goes, I've seen this It's just such a good. I'm having such a good time right now. It doesn't matter. I'm having such a good time watching this movie, and I'm like, fuck yeah, hun. So then we watched Return
You're
of
like,
the
cool,
Jedi.
I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, and then we watched Return of the Jedi, which it's weird that it took me 3 movies to get to Jedi because that's my I feel bad movie. My sick movie is Jedi.
Jedi. Because then you get the yub nub. Ichachi yub nub.
Yeah, except I usually watch the
Atomi
special
Toby
edition
Chiki.
because it's what's easy
Not
to get.
playing ooh,
How do you know all of that?
glow?
I assume you're making up stuff.
Ichachi glow. No, I know some of the translation to it too.
Oh my god. And then the next day, I watched the entire sequel trilogy basically in a sitting.
Okay.
Which I've definitely never done, and I have not watched Rise.
Speaking of Rian Johnson.
Yeah, right? I had definitely the thought. And then I've not watched Rise of Skywalker since we saw it in theaters and got wine drunk and cried about Princess Leia. Force Awakens remains what it is. It's fine. Like,
Yeah.
It is a solid Star Wars outing.
There had been time off. You needed to get back into that tone. It's perfect for that.
It gets a lot of shit for it, but honestly, I have no serious critiques of Force Awakens. Last Jedi remains one of the better things Star Wars ever did.
Yeah. Suck it, internet.
I'm sorry, man. The choices it makes, there's some weird bits because they veered wildly off the original planned script, but it's really good and it sets up things that I really appreciate. And it really, if you watch them back to back, shows the weaknesses of Rise of Skywalker, which I don't hate as much as a lot of people do, but also it's not
Just because you don't hate it doesn't mean it's good.
It's not a good movie. It has good moments.
Yes. Absolutely. There's some good spectacle in that movie.
There's some good spectacle. There's some solid emotional bits. The bit where Chewie finds out Leia died and drops to his knees and screams fucks me up. That is oh my god. But I mean, they did what they could without recasting Leia using previously filmed bits. It is so obvious that it's not an actual conversation happening, though, that and I'm actually not throwing shade on that front. What the fuck were they supposed to do there? I guess Leia died between the 2 movies, fucking roll with it, but
I mean, somehow Palpatine returned, so...
I continue to not have a problem with that because I read Dark Empire, which didn't even bother to give us the sentence somehow Palpatine's returned. Dark Empire is a foundational part of the expanded universe, which a lot of people who hate the Disney stuff just masturbate wildly to. And it opens with Palpatine's back and he's reconquered Coruscant. Let's go. And you're also Luke's fallen to the dark side. Where the fuck did all that come from? It's got some good stuff. And I have a lot of sympathy for the Leia stuff. I don't have a lot of sympathy for how much they were cowards and tried to undo everything that happened in Last Jedi in the first half hour of that movie.
Yeah.
You did not need her to be a Palpatine. You could have changed nothing else in that story. This could have all been a plot by Palpatine to blah 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 Sith live in you, fine, whatever. Change nothing.
The movie's easily 50% better if she's both not a Palpatine and doesn't claim the Skywalker name at the end.
I don't care about this guy. I have no problems with that part, admittedly, but more power.
I think her not claiming the Skywalker makes more sense after Last Jedi.
Yes. And honestly, if she had ended it with just Rey, but not in the sad voice, I would have been pretty down with that.
Yeah,
but
just
also,
Rey.
I'm fine with it. Of sure, she's continuing the legacy. Those are her masters. Yada yada. Sure.
And if the other rebel stormtroopers would have told Finn, "Oh, we did it because we heard of you."
Yeah, they heavily implied that, but they could have actually.
If you say it, it's just 10 times better right there.
Oh, we heard you rebelled, and so we did too. Like, perfect. The whole storyline with the knife makes no sense whatsoever.
Oh, the knife is bad.
I continue to think in some ways that this is a better movie than most of the prequels because I have more fun watching this than I do watching the prequels. But the prequels do infinitely better world building. So, like, it's the setup in the prequels is better, but the spectacle is better in Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any of them are actually good movies, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But then also we watched the I don't remember if I said this before or not after, or last time we recorded, the Genndy Tartakovsky
Clone Wars stuff. Nice.
Cece had never seen them.
Oh, shit. She had never seen Mace?
I don't think she knew they existed.
Okay.
And then I was just like, on a whim, was like, are that on Disney Plus? Like, fuck yeah. And they are. And they continue to fucking rule.
They're so good.
Oh my god. And I say this as someone who really likes what came out of Clone Wars. Damn, that shit was almost better. Like,
Mace.
That Mace episode is incredible. Mace also just being like, fuck my lightsaber, I'm just gonna punch a bunch of droids to death is so good. That version of Grievous without the cough, or explaining why he has the cough and making him legitimately terrifying. The like clone Navy SEAL missions with the ARC troopers.
Oh yeah. Man, it's been a while since I watched those.
They're just collected as like 2 episodes on Disney Plus. So all of the shorts combined for each season into like episode 1, episode 2.
Because that's not all that long.
It's like maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And it does take out having to watch the like flickering Star Wars symbol every 5 minutes. So I'm actually pretty in favor of it. Highly recommend. And then because I did that, I re-listened to the original Thrawn trilogy. It's still good. I have nothing to say about it. It's the original Thrawn trilogy. Like, and then have watched the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew.
Oh, yeah.
Which are out.
How's that?
Extremely good. Very different than anything else Star Wars has done so far, and I very much appreciate it.
Okay, hell yeah.
It really is... I don't know if I'd 100% say Star Wars Goonies, even though that's how we've been advertising it, but like, it does have that feel of like 90s kids adventure in a way I highly approve of. And then we've watched the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte.
Nice.
And we just haven't...
I still need to get to that. And it's looking like I won't get to like half the things I want to this holiday season because fucking shit to do is already stacking up.
God,
but
yeah. Acolyte is good. It is... Nothing in it has absolutely blown my mind yet. Again, I'm 2 episodes in. Like, it's doing setup. I am not heavily invested in the same way that I was to other stuff, but, like, I was always going to be more invested in Ahsoka. I'm a fucking Rebels fanboy. Like...
Yeah.
It's good. It is very solid. It doesn't deserve the hate it's getting. They're just mad that a black woman's in charge. Not even in charge, just a significant character. It's starting to show because, like, I know you've not really read any of the High Republic.
No, not yet.
But High Republic, and then this is like a century later. So the wave is crested of the Jedi, and they're starting to get trapped in the failures of what will become the major failures of the Order. Getting too committed to, like, bureaucracy, et cetera, et cetera. And we're starting to see signs of that. We're seeing what will lead to the Jedi's fall. And I don't love watching that, but I am enjoying everything that's happening so far. I want to watch more. Daphne Keane is in it, and she's great in everything she does. I have that name right, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
X-23. Oh, and then last one, there's a bunch of other stuff. Some of it I will save for talking about the episode, but I am caught up on Lower Decks.
I am not, though. That's probably actually what I'm going to do tonight.
You should. It's good.
As long as Rivals doesn't suck me in too hard.
I hear Rivals playing in the background, so good luck with that, buddy. But there, I think, are like only 2 or 3 episodes left, and that hurt my soul.
Yeah.
To realize, like, I'm not ready for that.
It's part of the reason why I haven't been rushing into it. Watched the first, like, couple episodes of the season multiple times already, but...
we watched, I think, episode 3 twice, and everything else we've seen once, just because we had watched, like, the first 3, and then stopped for a bit, so we're kind of catching ourselves in.
How's the evolution of Beardward Boimler coming on?
It's funny watching it come in. It's reached the point that he has a goatee and, like, chops, but it hasn't connected yet.
Nice.
And considering that my mustache will never in my life connect to my beard, like, I'm kind of feeling called out. But, I do love that, not Boimler, Rutherford has started growing a beard, and it's very much Geordie's beard from later Next Gen, where it's not much of a beard. He barely grows anything, but they make sure to mention it a couple of times that he's starting to grow a beard. Yeah, it's fun. It remains solid. I don't know if it's... I think season 2 is still the best season. Like, that is really where they've had the lane cooking of where the lower deckers still, but the team has really coalesced in a way that's useful. Boimler's gotten over some of his shit. This is...
Mariner hasn't, but that's fun.
But yeah, in a fun way. And then, like, season 3 and 4, Mariner's falling apart, but that's okay. It does lead to growth. And I mean, I really liked season 4, and I liked season 3, even though I thought it was the weakest season. Like, the crew is ready to not be lower deckers by this point.
Yeah.
And that's fun to see, and I'm enjoying it, but it does start to... It starts to show, like, the limits of the concept of lower decks. There's only so far you can take it. Unless you're just going to introduce new lower deckers. Which is great, and you can do that, and they have to an extent. This is sort of... Have you ever watched Two Scrubs?
No.
Okay. There are...
Have you seen that they're looking to reboot it?
Yeah, but Bill Lawrence is involved, so I'm fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking love Scrubs. There are 8 seasons, and then a 9th season that was supposed to be a spin-off, but they just called it the 9th season because they were hoping to keep more. But what was supposed to be the final season of Scrubs, season 8, they have realized by that point that all of their characters have grown too much to really be what the original concept of Scrubs was. You know, the absolute, lower decks, the underdogs, the new kids. They've now been here 8 years. So they're kind of all given new students, and they're given a new class of people who aren't ready for this shit, and they have to be the teachers. And it actually lets some of the characters, JD in particular, grow quite a bit to really explore that dynamic. They're not fully committing to it, but they're kind of doing that with Mariner.
Okay.
Like, there's an episode that, without spoilers, ends with an ensign that she's been trying to help because she sees a lot of herself in. And that ensign gets thrown in the brig, and Mariner's like, yeah, you did do things that definitely mean you should be in the brig. And the ensign's doing the classic Mariner, I love the brig. It's my favorite place. And Mariner's just, like, setting up a chair to hang out next to her in the brig and, like, catching up while then being like, no, fuck you. And, like, it's nice to see, but we could have gotten more lower decks easily.
Yes.
But they are setting this up as I think purposely,
a transition
as a final
out.
season.
Yeah.
And in a way that I appreciate. Like, I think that at least one person should transfer to a new command with a real rank kind of thing. Like, I don't know if it should be first officer, but...
Bradward back to the Titan.
Doesn't even have to be back to the Titan, but, like, I think Mariner should leave the Cerritos at the end of the season for a maybe first officer position in a lesser important, I'm not saying she should join the fucking Enterprise, but
That would be dope.
It would be. But her growth has hit a point.
Yes.
I'm just excited about it. It continues to be chock fucking full with Star Trek references, like other series references. A little more next gen this time. A lot of seasons. Holy shit, Mike McMahon must be a big fan of Voyager.
Voy.
Dude, Voy has so many fucking references in that show. Yeah, I think that's it. I've got others, the Jed McKay Avengers, the next volume came out. Loved that, picked it up. Blood Hunt, I have picked it up but not read yet. It's a big Blade crossover. And then I read a bunch of other Al Ewing comic books, but I'll save that for part 2 of the episode because I read that specifically for that.
As always, I remembered something I didn't.
Yeah, of course. No, I assumed. That's why I paused.
Yep. No, I just realized how long it had been since we recorded.
Yeah, it's been
so
like
I can say I've also finished Brassic, which I don't think I had last time.
No, you were pretty close. But...
And the last 2 seasons that are out so far, seasons 4 or 5, are probably the best 2 seasons so far.
Good.
Holy cow, they had a couple really hard-hitting episodes. Me and Margaret were both sitting there like in tears in one of them, just like, oh God, how did they do this? This is so good. That being said, though, the latest season also, high highs, low lows. I don't know if the characters are being completely written out of the show, but at least for the season, things happened where a couple characters basically got replaced for the season, and I didn't care for either of the replacements.
Last thing I was going to bring up, and I was looking forward to talking about this with Steven, because I watched the show because of him. I watched like the first 8 or 9 episodes of The New Girl.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Because I just was really like desperate for a sitcom, and I didn't want to make my wife watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine again.
Right.
Because that's like my go-to. It's such a product of its time.
Yeah.
It is. Like, that show, I don't know. If
I haven't watched a lot of it. I've watched a little bit.
And maybe this grows as the series grows, but there is something about... That show came out in, like, I think 2009-ish originally. Close enough.
Something like that.
It has such that, like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus vibe, and it's...
2011.
Perfect. And it is interesting to watch and be like, wow, culture's really changed in the last dozen years when it comes to, like, how we approach. Because, like, I mean, most of the modern comedies I watch are, like, Ted Lasso or Shoresy or Letterkenny, which aren't nearly as relationship focused, like, as your main plot device, but even in fucking Shoresy, I wouldn't expect, like, a women think like this and men think like this being, like, a huge part, like, the basic concept of a scene.
Yeah, I can't watch too much of that show because I have a hard time not drooling over Zooey Deschanel, so...
I admit that a large part of why I'm probably going to watch more of this show, because Cece is, I think, more entertained by my being entertained than actually being entertained by the show, but I'm, like, trying to give it a chance, is that I grew up in the 90s, so I am a complete lover of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, even though everyone I have ever met in real life is exhausting.
Exhausting.
There's this thing where we're watching and we're keeping, part of us is being like, be nice to her, she's quirky and fun, and the other part of me is like,
but also,
no, you're right, you would be so much to, like... What's weird is the Lothario character is by far my favorite so far, just because he has the most, like, rounded of the, like, he's got little aspects that isn't just, I'm a Lothario, I'm a, like, Barney Stinson light, but he's a person.
Okay.
Not by a lot.
No.
but compared to the others.
Also, the one other thing I remembered, and I'm not too far into it yet, but I was really enjoying it, especially because I wasn't sure how much I would. Started reading a 40K book called The Infinite and the Divine. It's from the viewpoint of a Necron.
I don't know how that works.
Super interesting. Like, wow. It's kind of hard to follow, but in a way that's really, like, mentally stimulating. when you have a character that can like literally stream his consciousness between different bodies, and like there's a bit where he's just where one of the characters is describing like, oh, he's like on some planet searching for something, and like it's an old like tomb world or something, and he's having to like fight through the defenses, but it's like a Necron, so like they're functionally immortal and they think about time differently. So you have this paragraph that's just like, in any other book, it's like describing the adventurer fighting his way through like a passageway, right? And except the end of this paragraph is, and that continued for 3 cycles.
Yeah, fair. I continue to not give a fuck about 40K, but I appreciate that there's a lot of authors I like Dan Abnett, and I don't know if he wrote that one.
Not this one, but I have read some of Abnett's 40K stuff, and it is fantastic.
That are authors that I really enjoy that are given a sci-fi world where they're just allowed to commit to the bit. I don't think I've told this. My nephew, who's 13, has gotten into 40K, and both me and his mother, my sister, are like, no, not because we, are supportive of his interests, yada, yada, yada. But also, both of us are like, you are not allowed to play the minis game. In my case, because I do not want to lose him. And in her case, she's like, I cannot afford this. I am a teacher.
Fair. Both ways.
Yeah.
Both ways. I just, I kept seeing really good things about this one. And I was like, well, I've liked reading some of the other 40K stuff, and it's been kind of on my mind lately, so I decided to give it a shot. And I was like, whoa, this is actually super interesting. One of the characters is a chronomancer. I thought the audiobook fucked up during one of the scenes because he was making time replay itself.
Man, credit to audio. Some of the things that audiobooks can do that make me mad and make me restart a chapter a couple times on accident, like...
I was like, wait, what the fuck? Did this... I'll just let it keep playing and hope that it fixes itself. And then I realized what was going on, and I was like, oh, you motherfuckers.
Oh, I also watched like 3 different WWE pay-per-views.
Hell yeah.
And stuff. Dude, Survivor Series War Games, it ends up being a 5v5. Like 3 people broke their feet. Literally. Like...
That sucks.
It sucks, but it was a good match.
Yeah.
Like, I have such a weird... As someone who does not want people to get hurt, and I'm not violent by nature, the fact that I've become such a wrestling mark is so weird to me, because I'm like, fuck yeah, you broke your feet doing that, Big Bronson Reed. You jumped off the top of a cage onto a table. You weigh 350 pounds. You're lucky you're alive. Do it again.
Do it again. Right now.
After it heals.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, now that we've done like 18 more things. Oh, another thing. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about another thing that we read.
Woo!
Man, I went hard in the paint for prep for this episode. For an episode that we were like, this will be a nice relaxing one.
Yeah, that's on you, bro.
No, I know.
No.
Oh no, I have to read so many books I've been meaning to read.
Yeah, no. I mean, I guess I read more than I had to as well, because it's on the app and it's an amazing story.
It's
so
good, yeah. So this book, just prepping for this episode, made me really miss Noob Island.
Yes, I could see that. Absolutely.
And I got pretty burned out by the time we were finishing up that series, even though I was looking forward to what was coming next, just because
we have... Technically, the plans are still written down someplace.
Yeah, it just got hard to do. If you don't remember, if you didn't listen, Noob Island was one where we went hard into the paint of history of a character from different Marvel Magic stuff.
With the idea eventually to move on from Magic.
Yeah, but it just kept escalating. But, like, it got kind of burned out because it got hard to read comic books for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something about really, like, sitting down, because we read Immortal Thor 1 through 10 and Roxxon Presents the Mighty Thor, which is just a little special issue for this. I actually meant to read further, but I grabbed Volume 2 instead of Volume 3 on the way out the door today and got to work and sat down at lunch. And I'm like, time to... Son of a bitch.
Yeah, so you did other reading, though, to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I read through 15 and Roxanne
Which is what
Presents
Volume 3 is. So
and the annual.
Okay, yeah. So you've read through what I was hoping to get through today. For the record,
and is of course now the stuff that's freshest on my mind.
oh, of course, I know some of it, so we can kind of talk about it a little bit. So I finally finished Loki, Agent of Asgard, which is the I think Al Ewing's first entry into writing Thor characters.
Right. Which I've never read that, though. I think I read some things in that time period where Loki pops in for a minute.
It's about 10 years old.
Yeah.
It is right. It ends where Secret Wars starts.
Okay, yeah.
And then I did not get to... Al Ewing also wrote some Jane Foster Thor, or Jane Foster Valkyrie stuff, but I did read Defenders Beyond, which is some of his... Loki appears in that. And Al Ewing is one of these creators that is kind of a lost Marvel tradition. Steve Gerber did it a lot, but there were others where he would bring plot lines from different books or ideas from different books to whatever book he was writing. So, okay, you're doing Thor? All right, cool. Now we're going to bring in something from Defenders. His Storm, when she appears in this, is in the exact middle of his Immortal X-Men run. Side note, did not place that Immortal X-Men was part of like Immortal Hulk, Immortal Thor, Immortal X-Men until I started reading this, because it was the Krakoa era, so all X-Men were immortal, so I just
didn't think about it.
Then afterwards I was like, oh god damn it, like I haven't read that one. Krakoa got a little in the weeds form. I continue to think it's a really interesting idea. It didn't grab me. I know you loved it, so I'm not...
Yeah. I was actually just thinking about the fact that I actually need to finish reading through the Krakoa era. Because I only got through the first third of it, but it was like...
That's like 50 issues.
I was about to say, like, the complete first third.
Yeah, that's so much.
Not just the, like, main 2X books, but all the surrounding books, too. So.
Yeah. It was an incredibly brave period for X-Men. I really applaud them for doing it. It moved away from this parts of X-Men that I find most interesting, which is the interpersonal dynamics. So, it is what it is. Like, reading Defenders Beyond, which I read before, and was like, oh, this is really good. Some of this I don't quite get. And then looking back and being like, holy shit, he's placing stuff he's tying up loose ends from Loki, Agent of Asgard, from almost 10 years before he wrote this. And he's setting up for the end of the Krakoa era. Do you know any...
I know a little bit about what happens, yeah.
He sets up the Sinister Dominion in that, in a way that I did not pick up at all, but continued to enjoy that book. And then, like, rereading it went, fuck you. Like, there's so much more here. I have some stuff of prepping for this, but a question I realized that we've never really talked about. We've done some Al Ewing stuff before, because we did Immortal Hulk way back when.
Yep.
And we've talked a lot about Thor. I know that you enjoy Thor. I know that you really like the Loki TV series. But, like, what is your relationship with comic book Thor? Or just kind of the franchise of...
Thor... I would say for most of my life, Thor I mostly didn't care about. But not in, like, a bad way.
No, he just was...
He was just like, he exists. I don't have any positive feelings. I don't have any negative feelings. Thor is over there, and he's going to Thor it up.
Kind of my opinion of 90% of Iron Man.
Yeah. Guess what? My opinion of 90% Iron Man, too. Maybe more than that.
My hatred of him in Civil War has made it that it kind of has to only be about 90%.
And yeah, the Loki TV show is dope. I don't know. I don't remember what started me reading the Jason Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Thor. It wasn't the Loki TV show like how the Punisher show got me to finally get to read Punisher. I don't remember what did it, but at some point I was like, "Oh, I'll take a look at this." And I've read everything that Jason Aaron has written of Thor.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I think you might have read some Jason Aaron before that too.
I've read a
'Cause
little bit of Jason Aaron before that.
could easily have been then just, oh, Jason Aaron. I like Jason Aaron well enough, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That could have been the reason why. I mostly just don't remember what
Oh,
the
100%.
inciting thing was, but whatever incited it, I was like, oh, I'm literally going to read all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up even a reading list to make sure that like I didn't miss like weird crossover issues and that I was doing it all chronologically and did it all. And in whole, it is one of my favorite like comic arcs ever.
I have still not finished it. I've only ever read the run is kind of split into 3 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I've only read the first chapter, but I've read that chapter several times.
The first 2 are good slash to great.
Mm-hmm.
And if that was it, it'd be fine. It's that third bit that I love for the storytelling and the way it explains both the way that myths are made while turning itself into a way to tell a myth about Thor.
Now, okay, I'm just curious on this one. Are you putting the third chapter as kind of when Thor retakes the hammer?
Or I'm thinking like King Thor stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. That definitely comes up a lot in Loki Agent of Asgard, so I highly recommend.
The way that all finishes off, kind of like it it touched the like 8-year-old mythology nerd in me of when I was first reading about all the different shit, like in the library, looking just through like the Encyclopedia of Mythology and all this shit, and like it's hard to explain, but it's both like told very dispassionately, but in a way that's familiar and is meant to convey like this is a story,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a story about stories.
It is.
And I love stories about stories by the fact that I've read a lot of Neil Gaiman.
I mean, that's why I'm enjoying Immortal Thor so much. So that started, I think. I mean, one, I've always loved Thor. And I think when Thor is written well, he might be like the second best Marvel character. I'm still giving it to Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
When he's written badly, Thor is just fucking
Boring?
unbearable. But most of it just fits in fine. And I'm not even trying to be mean on that. There are writers that I fucking loved that I was like when Matt Fraction was going to take over Thor, I was so excited. And I don't give a fuck about his run looking back.
You know what I think the problem is with most Thor that's unexciting? Is because in most Thor that it's unexciting, it doesn't matter that he's a god.
Or it matters too much that he's a god. It's Thor exists in this weird lane that's like 5 different lanes. You have to do a little bit of the superhero stuff. If you get him too far into the just Viking, just Norse stuff, you lose him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lose too much of the he's Thor, he's a god of Asgard. It's why I don't like when they're like, he's not actually a god, he's an alien. I'm like,
Fuck off.
No, he's Thor.
He's so much more interesting when he's God.
He's kind of an alien, but like, that doesn't mean he's not a god, and that doesn't mean he's not a creature of magic.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's what Thor Ragnarok did well, but what Thor, the first Thor movie, like that was my biggest issue with it, where he was just kind of an alien guy. And there have been like great Thor runs. I think, at least where I started noticing the most of like he's a creature of myth and story is when James Straczynski and Oliver Copiel took Thor over and relaunched him shortly after Civil War, so a little under 20 years ago now. the run never finished. Straczynski, who created like Babylon 5 and stuff,
Right.
he left the book. He realized he didn't like crossovers, and just crossovers were too much of a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
But he set up for some really fun stuff. And then other people took it on. Jason Aaron really leans into it. But one thing that they've been doing in Thor a lot lately is the idea that the gods are creatures of story. And I think a lot of that stems from, and I know this idea is further, but when it first started showing up most in Thor, was the idea of, there's a line from Straczynski's first issue of, it's not up to gods whether man exists, it's up to man whether gods exist. And kind of the storyline is all Thor comics had been going and going and going, and then they had Ragnarok happen. And I think it was like the third time Ragnarok had happened in the Marvel stories,
Mm-hmm.
and it actually became a plot line that the gods were stuck in this eternal loop. And that's part of how they knew what would happen with Ragnarok.
Right, right.
You know, the part of the thing of the Norse myths is you always know how the story's going to end.
Exactly.
And it ended with Thor breaking the cycle. And then all Thor books disappeared for like 3 years. And honestly, it was brilliant because when Thor came back, it was a big deal. Sometimes you need to let a book rest for a while. It's
Looking at you, Joker.
Literally, yes. Joker should not appear in a story for a minimum of 3 years. I would prefer 5. And when you bring him back, I don't even like the Joker, and I would be fucking in. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's time for shit to go down. They successfully did that. And then the other kind of thing that was interesting of how it changed Thor is how all of this changed Loki.
Okay.
And this is the thing that I really was doing my research on before this, because I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that Immortal Thor, when all of this is said and done, is going to be Loki's story.
Oh, absolutely. How so? I'm not quite sure.
Not sure yet, but especially reading all of the work that Al Ewing has done with Loki. But the idea that gods are creatures of story and affected by story, part of what I love about that is it brings me as the reader into the story, and it brings real life effects into the story and makes it part of the canon. So Loki was always a character that I struggled with because he was just an insane gibbering maniac of pure evil. And Thor would always be like, "You're my brother and I love you." I'm like, why? He's awful. Like, there's no
the worst
redeeming factor of it.
And then Tom Hiddleston.
Literally, yes, Tom Hiddleston happened. Handsome as the day is long and just charming no matter how evil he was. And the public perception of Loki changed. And beautifully, if you take the idea of gods as stories, that changed too, and changed the format. And so Al Ewing explores this a little bit in Loki, Agent of Asgard. The idea is, because gods are creatures of story, the more stories there are about the god, the more they're kind of stuck in that lane. So Thor, when he is sent down to Earth to learn humility and become a hero, in, the beginning of the Marvel Thor stuff, Loki, partly because he's like the pissed off younger brother who was bullied, but even in his own words, probably not enough for what he ends up doing, decides, Thor's going to be the hero. It'll be fun for me to be the villain. But when he enters Midgard and becomes the villain, he is a creature of story. So he inhabits the role more than he was prepared to take. And they describe it as he's burning. And the interesting thing about the way Al Ewing writes Loki is that he's a fucking Time Lord.
Yeah,
in a lot
pretty
of ways.
much.
We get different iterations of Loki throughout it. And he exists, I think, where Loki works best these days is he exists somewhere between the Master and the Doctor. Like, if there are two parallels, I want Loki really just threading
right down the middle.
Yeah. So the storyline leading up to this, and I think this is kind of important to talk about because of where we find Loki in this.
Really quick, I want to interject with a couple things just
I'm
about
rambling.
No, just because It's interesting talking about the way stories interact with gods, partially because around the same time period while all this is going on with Ewing, uh, during that era, and then leading through everything recently and stuff, as Hickman was in charge over on the X-Men side, there was all the weird extrapolation, fucking explanation type shit that he loves to do in like fake documents and stuff, right?
I love and hate it at the same time.
They finally, he finally fucking talked about the nature of gods in Marvel.
Oh, with gods.
No, but I mean like their power levels and how they work.
Oh, okay.
Which was something we had talked about way back on Noob Island at one point. And the conclusion that is basically canonical, but there's no set power level, which is how they can still get away with like wibbly wobbly things, is that smaller gods for their power need worship. But at a certain level of worship, the god becomes powerful enough that a change happens.
And they kind of just exist on myth.
And they don't need worship anymore. They just need stories told about them. Which is how it's explained that, like, basically, like, Thor and Odin are able to be kept at their power levels, is because they don't have many actual worshippers anymore, but they got to a power level that everyone knows who the fuck they are.
It's in issue 3 of this book where he's facing Storm, and he talks about, like, who would win? I love that little bit of meta commentary, and also Thor going, like, I can do this because I need to be able to do it right now for the sake of the story, and kind of making that part of his powers is so fun. This entire run is an examination of comic books. But
God, there was something else I was going to say too, but if it's important enough, it'll come back to me. It flew out anyway.
But a huge part of the last few years was we need to make Loki a scamp, not a psycho murderer. So they had this really weird fucking story. Loki is, as I said, as they describe it, burning. He is kind of the John Sims master, the one against David Tennant, the one that's just like, let's burn it all fucking down. Fuck the world. And he goes through, but he realizes on some level that he's trapped, that he can't escape the place that he set himself in, partly because so many people believe this is who he is, Loki, god of evil. Then he dies, and he sets up his death, knowing Thor, being Thor, is going to bring him back. And he sets it up so he is brought back as a small child. This is not the same Loki. This is Kid Loki.
Right.
Kid Loki, who is a god of mischief at the worst, trying to not be the Loki who was, and has an absolutely beautiful run in Journey into Mystery by Kieran Gillen, which highly recommend you read it. Gets people to trust him, gets people to go, oh, you're a Loki that we love. We don't 100% trust you, but like, you're a scamp. Like, literally a scamp, not, you're not trying to destroy Asgard anymore. You are working to help Asgard. But it turns out that there's a trap, and I don't fully remember how we got through it, because I did not have time to read that Journey into Mystery run. And the original Loki had made a copy of himself that was going to take over the mind of Kid Loki. So basically, he dies. Kid Loki appears. Kid Loki redeems who Loki is in the minds of others. And then old Loki, original Loki, takes over the brain and body of new Loki, of Kid Loki, and no one knows that the original Loki is back.
Right, okay.
And it is beautiful and weird and interesting, and I kind of hate explaining stories like these because it makes you sound like a fucking lunatic, but the problem is we now have a third Loki. Old Loki's dead. Kid Loki's dead. Third Loki is a copy of the original, but because everyone believes that he is something different,
he's constrained into that role.
Yes, he is no longer original Loki. He's mixes. He's a change. And this has been the Loki that we're kind of seeing here. And he goes throughout Agent of Asgard on a long run to try to escape what the universe is trying to force him to become. He doesn't want to be old Loki again. And then, just to make it fucking weirder, King Loki from fucking the King Thor Loki in the far future, who has reverted back to the Loki that burns, has come back in time to try to make that happen faster. So we have, like, new teenage Loki, who's definitely a god of deceit, but, like, not trying to not become who he was, while there's who he was trying to make sure that he stays that way. So we get both versions of Loki, and it really kind of shows how uninteresting angry murder everything Loki is. But it kind of ends with the concept of Loki stepping out, and literally Secret Wars is happening, the world is destroyed, and he decides, instead of helping out during Secret Wars, he just makes a door that says next and goes through, or exit, I don't remember, next, I think. Skips over.
Right.
Then Loki kind of gets moved into a lot of what Jason Aaron is doing with him. Now, I'm not knocking Jason Aaron. We both like him very much. He writes probably the best Thor. Personally, I don't think he ever quite understood what Loki was becoming.
No, I'd agree with that. Loki is a lot of window dressing in that story.
Well, and part of it is he has Loki kind of... Ewing had evolved Loki in a way that Aaron didn't quite register, I don't think. Because, he has Loki becoming the king of the frost giants, becoming a ruler, becoming a whatever. While Ewing had set up a Loki who had literally become not the god of mischief or evil or pranks or whatever, but the god of stories. The god of stories doesn't give a fuck about ruling on a throne. The beautiful thing about Loki is that if you don't want him ruling on a throne, he can just choose to leave. And the last bit of trying to explain this, and this is where it gets really hard to explain, they end the final bit of Loki, Agent of Asgard, with him walking through the door that says next, and then they don't touch on that. And you're like, all right, and it leads into other Loki stories that come up later on, and those are fine stories. There's nothing wrong with them. It's a little more sinister Loki than we've been getting from the Ewing version. But then he writes Defenders Beyond, his second Defenders miniseries. And the idea of Defenders, the way Ewing's been writing them, is that they are literally a defense system for the universe, thanks to a spell Doctor Strange made.
Okay.
That then Strange gave that spell to Eternity. So Eternity's now like, time for some Defenders! Like, let's pull in some people.
Gotcha.
Loki steps through the door at the end of Agent of Asgard and appears 10 years later in that Defenders Beyond miniseries. The universe had died and been reborn in between that point. So this is the Loki of the previous universe stepping into the modern one and looking back to see what had happened. And that doesn't negate any of the stuff that the new Loki had done. So I guess a fourth fucking Loki.
Right.
But this is not the same Loki that did that. And then they eventually merge. So we have...
kind of even another new Loki.
God, it's basically the third Loki, but it's kind of the fifth at the same time. He is the third Loki, but he has done he remembers doing all the things, I guess, the fourth Loki has done.
Okay.
So he's the one that chose to take the throne of the Frost Giants at the end of the Thor run. He's the one that did these things. But because what he needs to do, he kind of moves away from that. And there's also kind of a meta plot of Loki had been trying to escape the multiverse so he could escape destiny entirely. To leave the story. But he chooses to stay in the goal of helping kind of everyone break out of the threads of destiny. Don't worry about it. It's fun. It's brilliant when you read it. But here's where we end up with Loki here. And honestly, he appears in the first, 3 pages
Think so?
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We end up Thor, King of Asgard. Again, he keeps becoming King of Asgard. Odin has died 3 or 4 times just since I've started reading the comic books. It's always sad, which is weird because Odin is not a likable character in these books. And the big change, because Thor's costume has changed significantly over the years. We've been getting more and more intense, armored, kind of more detailed Thor looks. He has switched back to, theoretically, his classic original Thor costume. It's technically the one from the 90s because the weird circles on his stuff are metal plates instead of just kind of big polka dots. But, and I admit, I was really nervous about that when I saw that come up. I did not really feel like we needed to move back. There was a risk of resetting Thor too much. Because, like, I don't need him to be the Thor that he was in the 60s. But credit to Ewing here, the way he writes Thor, he's not.
No. Said a lot of the boring Thor, it doesn't matter that he's a god. Ewing from the get-go makes it clear that, like, he's here to do godly business.
Mm-hmm. I love any time that someone tries to, like,
do anything with a storm.
He's just, he, like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed to the storm.
Yeah, that was fucking golden.
I also enjoy, and Aaron also did this incredibly well. There's something about when Thor comes to Earth and we just watch him hanging out with the little guys. Not like when he's doing Avengers shit, but, you know.
I'm just gonna go drink with some Vikings.
I'm gonna go drink with some Vikings, or in this case, they show him, like, playing chess with an old man in the park just to see what he can do. Aaron had a great run with this that included a nun being just super horny for Thor in, like, a panel. It is the idea that Thor has gone to Midgard because he loves Midgard. I have never been a big fan of Thor having too much of a secret identity. I enjoy Donald Blake. There's things you can do with it. But, like, there's been a few times where Thor is just pretending to be a dude. Doesn't really work.
No.
But having Thor still absolutely being Thor, but being like, yes, I would like to play chess in the park, or visit the children in this hospital because it'll make them happy, or whatever variation. Because Thor loves the people of Midgard, and it works best when we actually get to see him with the people.
So I just want to point out real quick, I'm loving this book, but I do still have to say my favorite Thor is old King Thor.
I mean, old cranky god.
Old cranky god Thor is great.
Yeah.
With the destroyer arm.
Yeah, I don't blame you on that one. Like, it's not my favorite, but I do love any time that version of Thor shows up. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, old cranky Thor. Fuck, no, I love this gets, like I said, I love the fact that this gets to, like, this is a god story right away. And just that as it goes on, the importance of it being a story just keeps getting compounded.
And growing. I mean, later on, there's that issue where they're telling the story about Skymir and the first time he meets Utgard Loki and the Utgard gods. And it is kind of rolling back and forth between, like, Thor is being told the story by Loki. And they will pause and show them in, like, the longhouse together. But he seems to, like, actually be experiencing the story while he's being told the story. So it's one part listening to a story, one part remembering the story, and one part literally experiencing it.
Well, and there's a bit later on where he gets knocked out of an illusion, but it's illustrated as him getting knocked out of the panel. And you're like, Like you said, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be technically more Loki's story than Thor. However you want to end up, you know, however that ends up being. but I'm not convinced the narrator's Loki.
Yo, it's so hard to say. It could be Utgard Loki.
I was thinking it also could be Uller. Did you get to Uller? I can't remember which issue he comes up in. I don't think you got to Uller yet.
I'm not sure.
Did you get to when Odin calls not Odin, when Thor calls all of Odin's children together?
No, I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, that could be it. So here's the thing in this one. Loki has abandoned the role of King of the Frost Giants, returns to Asgard. Thor's fucking down. Like, I don't trust you still quite, because you're still Loki, but I'm happy you're back. Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he returns not as someone trying to seize the throne, but as the god of stories and the Skald, which is a very important, as far as I understand, a very important role in Viking life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I should say, I like Viking stuff. I have always been kind of careful as someone who's really into ancient history and medieval shit and sword fighting in the park, not to get too deep into it, because the crossover between people who like Vikings and Viking myth because they're fucking rad, and people who like Vikings because they think that it proves white supremacy,
yeah,
is too close to just being a circle. And they all look like me.
Also true.
So I just
also true.
So I just am like kind of careful about how deep, especially because I am aware of myself, and when I get invested in something, I fucking get invested. I, in the past week or two, have probably listened to 15 hours of history documentaries. So, like, I'm just being careful not to dive too deep into, any of that. But as the Skald of stories, he's just Loki, they, he, she, any of them are appropriate because Loki is just Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that it changes sometimes from panel to panel. This was way more prevalent in Agent of Asgard, but it's happening here too. Which way Loki is presenting as.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter.
Although
it's still just Loki. Although
as the god of stories, though, Loki's always a Fae.
True. Yeah, because there's different specific forms. Sometimes the Skald of stories, which, man, I've read 11 issues of this now. I've read fucking probably 40 issues of Al Ewing stories in the last 3 weeks. My single favorite moment from all of this is the first issue of Immortal Thor. Thor has beaten back Tornos, the original Thor, the Utgard Thor, because in the same way that gods are part of a cycle, that meant there were gods before.
Not only were there gods before, but kind of what the Utgard stuff is also very heavily getting at is just the nature of stories and tropes, and essentially the characters that we currently know, like Loki and Thor, are being presented as the current versions of the original trope codifiers.
Well, and also, sure, the Vikings worshipped Thor, but the concepts of Odin and Thor, even if under different names, have existed in Norse societies, in Northern European societies, forever.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the Bronze Age Nordics would have looked at them is different than how people in 900 AD during the quote-unquote Viking Age would have looked at it. So it's, the same god, but not.
Or, yeah.
Kind of a more primordial version of the gods.
And I mean, and you see that all over, too, as in the past year, as I've been getting more into, like, Mesoamerican myth, Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan can both be traced to an earlier serpent god that we know nothing about other than it existed. Cool, look, it's an obvious serpent god, like...
Inanna was this Sumerian goddess who turned into Ishtar, and then the Greeks just straight up stole her, and she became Aphrodite, who became Venus. Like it just
Happens.
this is a thing. But and part of the story of this is that the Utgard gods, the original gods, are coming back. They have been freed. And I will talk about that in a second. I want to finish this part. Thor has beaten back Utgard Thor. He's banished him. Now, thanks to Deus Ex Machina magic stuff, he has to fall asleep for a while now.
I kind of loved that.
This is my favorite scene in all of this.
No, I kind of love even just the simple explanation of, like, he's not as used to the Thor force.
Yep. So, well, and even Odin has to go into the Odin sleep if he uses too much power. Thor has to do it a lot faster sometimes.
Yes. And it makes sense.
But Loki shows up and he's like, all right, cool, you're with me. I need you to do this. And Loki's like, I need you to answer some questions for me right now.
Oh, I think this is so far the most important scene in the entire...
Best fucking scene in it. And he's, do you trust me as a member of as a loyal son of Asgard? Yeah, man, we've had our shit, but like you've proven it. Do you trust me as a brother that loves you? Dude, our shit is so far in the past. Like, yeah, we're great. And then the fucking line, do you trust me as an enemy? And having Thor be like, oh no, oh. And like, Jason Aaron, as much as I was saying he doesn't get Loki, kind of got this. Because when Jason Aaron launched his Avengers run, he had Loki be behind the threat that formed the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
But the Loki who did that was very much like, we need the Avengers. The way you found the Avengers is having Loki do some shit. So I did some shit, and thus now you are Avengers who are prepared for what comes next. So even like even with Loki as an enemy is usually working for some greater goal these days, which is so much more interesting than just Doctor Doom is a fascist.
Right.
And fucking, I love Doom. Doom is top 3 Marvel villains. Easy.
This is going to be kind of weird, but I think you're going to see where I'm getting with it. This Loki is kind of like Leto the Second.
Yeah. He sees Leto the Second, the God Emperor of Dune, I'm trying to remember to, like, when we make obscure references to drop it. He sees the golden path. He sees what must happen. But what's interesting is this...
But he's also willing to be the bastard to make it happen.
Yes, but it's interesting because, like, so much of Loki before was trying to escape the path. And the idea is that that Ewing has been playing with in the other Loki books is that Loki is trying to escape the path for everyone, that no one is on the path anymore. So Loki is simultaneously like trying to break everyone out of the cycle, get them away from the path, but he also is planning a very specific route to get us there.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully without gigantic galactic jihads going on.
But we know it's going to come at a huge cost to Thor, and it's what the cost is going to be. Mm-hmm. Is one of the things hanging in the air.
Well, he's going to die at least once, but...
Right. We know that's going to... But there's no way that's the actual cost that's being teased.
Well, and this isn't the first time Ewing has played with that either, because, and I know this comes up a little bit in some of the stuff you read later, Ewing was part of all of the Greek gods dying and then being reborn as a new, kind of more dangerous, glowy blue form. Mm-hmm. That I see at least briefly when I was flipping through Volume 3, which reminds me I need to finish Al Ewing's Guardians of the Galaxy run, because holy shit, it was good. And it included going up against the Greek gods reborn. Hercules is such a good member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, too. Like,
I like the bit of Hercules that we've gotten in this so far.
He has a fascinating version of Hercules. It's kind of skipping ahead, but I don't really know how to talk about this book beyond kind of themes. But I love the introduction, again, of the Thor core.
Yeah.
So the Thor core is something that has been coming up since the fucking 80s, 90s. So there was a story written, and I don't know if it was in What If or something, or if it was just like, let's have a Thor of the future, about Dargo Couture, the future Thor. I don't have that name 100% correct, but like, he's an 80s version of what Thor might look like in the future. He definitely looks like he's part of a hair metal band.
Yes, he does.
he's a look. And then we had Beta Ray Bill is introduced, and he's fucking Beta Ray Bill. He's the best. I love Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, Dargo Couture, you were right.
Holy shit. There's a reason we do word balloons. And then we get Eric Masterson, who is a human that had to, a normal person who had to inhabit the body of Thor for a while. And then share a body with Thor. And then when Thor was sent off to Asgard, he could just still transform into Thor.
Mm-hmm.
But just with his brain. He didn't have, like, Thor's consciousness taking over. So he had to just pretend to be Thor for a while. And at some point, there was some team-up story where these three teamed up together. And then as a joke, someone called them the Thor Corps. And I think it just stuck in people's head. Because they did a fucking, like, 3 or 4 issue miniseries called the Thor Corps, which I have a copy of, and it's much better than that awful name. And then, like, Jason Aaron makes fun of it, but also kind of implies that we're seeing it because we have 3 different eras of Thor hanging out. We have young Thor, modern Thor, and King Thor.
Yeah, it's 3 doctors, except it's Thor.
And then in this one...
And a lot more punchy.
Yeah. And riding space sharks.
Yeah.
And then in this one, we have a different version of the Thor Corps, but it's just everyone that has...
Thor
wielded the hammer other than Captain America because he's busy at the time.
Yeah. That was fun. I like that scene.
Yeah, the idea of there is the different Thor has summoned the different people who have wielded the hammer. So we have Storm, which is a fucking deep cut. She wielded the hammer for a while back in the 80s. For like one storyline, which I love that Loki apologizes for that storyline in the middle of this. We have Beta Ray Bill, who has been on rocky terms with Thor ever since the Donny Cates run, where Thor briefly became the Herald of Galactus, which, considering that the Corbomite planet was destroyed by Galactus, Bill had some problems with.
Yeah.
And then when he tried to stop Thor, Thor smashed fucking...
Stormbreaker?
Stormbreaker, which is why he doesn't have it in this one. And then we have Jane Foster, and we have Loki, who used the hammer for like half an issue of Agent of Asgard, and they just rolled with it. But the idea of those who wields the hammer, if they be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. And then you have the power for 60 seconds. So they're just playing fucking
just tossing
catch
it.
with it.
That was good.
It was a fun way to play around with it. And then actually examining what does it mean to be worthy.
I was going to say, that was fun. The way that fight ends is the cool part of the fight.
Well, and this is...
And the interesting, like, playing with limitations and being forced into roles. And
this is a thing that's changed over the years. Originally, it was just a hammer. And then only Thor could wield it. And then it was just only Thor could wield it because it's really heavy. And then I think it was only Thor could wield it because of a magic thing. And then they started to actually explore, you know, whoever holds this hammer, if they be worthy. And it became, you know...
No, dude, mine says Roxxon.
Oh my god, fuck you. In fucking Infinity Wars, where Captain America picks up the hammer and everyone's just like... Whoa!
Oh my
like,
god!
It's such a great moment, and that only works because you have that. If he be worthy, and now we have a bunch of people who are fucking worthy. Loki, I'm sorry, I love what Loki's become, and I think it's fascinating that he can just wield Mjolnir now. But also, maybe a bit of a stretch.
But not quite a stretch, because Thor is now the one that decides who is considered worthy.
That's the most interesting aspect. And they examine, what does it mean to be worthy? And it is always fucking rad when they have that moment. You know, Thor Ragnarok probably does it best, where, what are you the god of? And then the fucking lightning.
You did. Oh, okay. So Power Stone is in the annual, right? You didn't read that?
I know who Power Stone is, but no, I've not read that yet.
Okay, so there's a bit where Power Stone uses the Power Stone. God damn it.
Yeah.
He's such an idiot and is made fun of in the entire issue. Anyway, uses the Power Stone to, like, supercharge Mjolnir.
For quick reference, Power Stone is a moron adventurer space alien who accidentally got his hands on the Infinity Gem, the Power Stone, and then named himself after it. He also, like, swallowed it accidentally.
Ate it,
yeah. Which is weird. That makes it like the second or third time someone has gotten powers by eating an Infinity Gem.
So he, like, supercharges Mjolnir at a point in that issue. And it has the it has the unfortunate side effect of, when it gets sat down, it suddenly just crashes through, like, all of the floors in the skyscraper they're in, because its enchantment is now superpowered, and Thor didn't decide that the floor was worthy.
Yeah, that tracks. That's so good. But Thor talks about here, and as I said, I love the scene. What are you the god of? And then fucking lightning comes down. You might have read it if you've read all the Jason Aaron stuff. The Thor and Loki little mini run where they go to heaven and meet Angela, their long lost sister.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Great moment in that where they do the same thing. And that's a world where, like, in heaven, which is not what we know as heaven, but is in the same way that, like, there's the 9 realms, there's Asgard, there's heaven. The angels there have never seen clouds, so they don't know what's happening, and then suddenly this gray shit comes rolling in and lightning comes out. They're like, what the fuck is happening right now? But Thor talks about it. When people prayed to Thor while stuck on their longboat as the storm raged, they weren't praying for the storm to be stronger, for more lightning to hit. They were praying for the storm to abate, for the storm to control. So the idea of being worthy of the power of Thor, what's the power of Thor?
It's control.
Not to unleash the power of the storm, but to control the storm and to hold it back. So basically, the power of Thor is to be moral and to be worthy. So to be worthy of the power of Thor is just the power to be worthy.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it, but I love it at the same time. It's so good.
That was all great. I love that. Look, I'm not gonna, dude, I'm so glad that, like, you told me, like, we have a little bit of time, we're sitting here, like, read the Roxxon Presents, because that might be my favorite thing that I've read so far.
I don't love the art in it, and, like, Greg Land is fine, and he's the perfect choice for this, and I'll talk about it. The artist that takes over on the second half, I don't like as much, but he's not bad. So
that's up there with Next Wave Agents of Hate for me.
Oh my god, it's good. This one I find a harder read, but we'll get this. Volume 2, for the most part, is Loki is... I will get to that in a second. One thing I love about this book is it brings up shit that we talked about in the very first episode of Noob Island with the birth of the old gods and the demigorge, and, like, Ewing went deep into god lore in Marvel to find that.
Yes.
And to explore this. The idea that the old gods are the... like.
And because we also went deep, I knew exactly what was going on.
And I would not have without this. Without Noob Island back in the day. The idea is when creation was first, I guess, created, gods started appearing, and there were old gods, and they were creatures of kind of power without control or focus.
I was about to say, look, they show them as being, like, beings, but they're talked about in the sense that they were more like concepts.
Yeah. Their concepts come into being, but you can't really have existence with just these concepts with unlimited power rolling around.
Mm-hmm.
So they are locked away, and now these gods have been brought back by Thor's mother, Gaia, who's just the earth. And the why is not quite clear. Thor is brought to believe in this, that it's because humans are mistreating the earth.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right, but I think it's part of what Thor needs to learn. And it brings us into probably the best thing Jason Aaron created. Because I think it was Jason Aaron that created Dario Agger. The
Yeah.
Minotaur.
Yo, Dario Agger is such a good villain.
So Dario Agger is the head of Roxxon Corporation. Roxxon is basically anytime you need an evil megacorp to exist for your story. They do bits of everything.
But especially if you need them to be Exxon.
Yes, they're so clearly named off Exxon that I'm surprised they weren't sued. But every bit, Dario Agger is every bit of human capitalistic excess. He wants money at the cost of the world because watching the amount of money he has go up makes him feel good on the inside, and it makes him feel superior. So he doesn't care if he destroys the world. Thor fucking hates him because Thor's there to look after
Earthguard.
people. Yeah. I don't remember why his face is all skeleton-y and melted. Is that a Thor thing?
No, that happened in Immortal Hulk.
Okay, yeah.
Zenmu got him.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Okay. God, Ewing just ties everything together.
Look, I like Dario Agger, Minotaur. I'm usually more just like, okay, yeah, he's cool. Like, he's standing for Exxon. He's standing for evil Megacore. His resurrection sealed him as like, I love this, which is coming up. It's
Okay,
part
I
of
haven't
what
gotten
I
there
read.
yet, so I was curious about that.
How much do you mind if
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, because Thor gets set up as having killed him as part of Enchantress's scheme.
Do we want to talk about that before we talk about?
Let's at least set that up.
Okay.
Well, we've already been talking about how this is kind of a story about stories and how stories affect gods, and Enchantress weaponizes that.
But it taps into another old school Marvel thing. It has been a thing in Marvel since the Jack Kirby, Stan Lee days.
That Marvel
comics exist in Marvel Comics. They would have them watching and then like watching the battle and then being like, this is going to make a great comic, Jack. Like, It was just a running joke. You know, John Byrne wrote himself into the trial of Reed Richards. Where fucking Reed Richards is put on trial by the fucking Shi'ar for resurrecting Galactus. And for some reason, John Byrne is there to document it. Like, it was... So the idea of Marvel exists in Marvel... Roxxon buys Marvel Comics, which is such fucking commentary about Disney buying Marvel. And then Agger, who just did it kind of to piss them off more than anything else, teams up with the Enchantress, who is a sorceress, probably a stronger magician than Loki, but she's not as strong a god as Loki.
Right.
Who knows enough about story magic that she can manipulate Thor by, you know, they're printing out millions of copies, probably thousands of copies, let's be honest. The comics don't sell millions anymore. Hundreds of thousands of copies of Thor, of this new version of Thor, that they will then let us read that issue of that comic book.
So fucking brilliant.
Oh, God, it's infuriating to read. And it's altering Thor in the process. He's slowly kind of being forcibly transformed
into Chad
the
Hammer.
awful Thor that they want him to be. Quick side note on that one. They have Scourge the Executioner.
Mm-hmm.
Scourge the Executioner died in the Walter Simonson run in the 80s in one of the single greatest issues Thor has ever produced. It's fucking fantastic. It's replicated to an extent in Thor Ragnarok. And he stayed dead for a long time. and they brought him back. But what, because, you know, it's just stuff. What I love is that Scourge is pissed about this.
Right.
His death was great.
It meant something.
It meant something, and he wants to go back to that. So that's why he keeps trying to steal. He's not trying to get revenge on Thor. He's not even like that mad at Thor.
No, Thor is currently doomed to die, and Scourge wants to steal his
Thor's
death.
meaningful death so he can die meaningfully again and be fucking done with this shit. It's so fun. Anyways, okay. So.
No, I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's just, it's so brilliant because, like, they set up Thor, alongside the comic, they set up to mar the public perception of Thor in that he killed Dario Agger.
Mm-hmm. They frame him for murder. Enough that in Jed McKay's Avengers run, Thor leaves the Avengers so he won't tarnish their image.
And the implication is kind of like Scourge kind of just thought that Enchantress is helping him with his thing for whatever reason. But she's actually helping him because she has her own plans. But then you get this scene and it's just like this like busybody helper being like, yeah, no, everything's okay. The ritual went off without like a hitch. Like the sacrifice was made, and you get the fucking panel, and Dario Agger's just like, cool. Like, I'm glad that I arranged for my resurrection. Now it's time for my plans to come into play.
Oh my god, I hate him so much. I was actually kind of looking forward to him just being dead, but this is also.
Just like, I love the fact that he just planned for his resurrection.
Dario Agger is capitalism as a supervillain, and it's so good. He's planned ahead, because why the fuck not?
He's hyper-capitalist Marcone at this point.
Yeah. From Dresden Files. Who's already pretty hyper-capitalist.
Yeah.
Roxxon Presents The Mighty Thor, which is a special they released, is a fucking trip because it is an absolute evisceration of every bad thing about comic books by someone who uses some of the bad tropes still sometimes and purposely picked an artist who I actually don't hate as an artist, but does kind of encapsulate all of the bad aspects of modern art and all the stuff he's critiqued for.
Mm-hmm.
So the artist's name is Greg Land. I will not be slashing Greg Land that hard on this because one, who the fuck am I to talk? And then two, like, his shit sells. There's a reason he keeps getting work. But he is also the most infamous tracer in comic books. Now, credit
That's why
to
I
him,
recognize the name. Yep. I know who you're talking
doesn't
about.
tend to trace other comic book artists.
Right.
But he has a collection of about a few hundred images, and he just transposes whatever character he wants over that image, like literally just a photography image. A photograph.
One of them photography images.
Put me out to pasture, I'm done. He literally just traces that photograph with, like, Emma Frost or Psylocke or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
It got really bad during his X-Men run where Emma Frost and Psylocke are doing the same pose, same expression, same everything on the same page. It is like it got very clear that he wasn't trying that hard. And there is something, like, as I said, he's not a bad artist. He's successful. He does what he does. I kind of respect him in his own way. Is he a little ethically bankrupt? Maybe. I don't even want to say that because I don't want to assume his...
Mm-hmm.
But he is, in some ways, the most homogenized comic artist in the business. Everything he draws is beautiful. It is well done. There is very little creativity because it's all from the same poses just superimposed over. And it's efficient, and he can do very detailed work that way. But it very much is someone just taking photographs and, like, putting them where they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
He can't do stuff like, okay, I know you said when we were talking off mic, you don't love the art for Immortal Thor. You said it's not bad, but it's not your favorite.
It's still not my favorite, but I couldn't put a finger on why. And past like issue 4 or 5, I really wasn't even noticing that anymore.
But one of the things I do love about this artist is the way that he's been playing with blue light, especially when Thor's using electricity,
Mm-hmm.
and like how it changes things. Greg Land can't do that because his work is in some ways so safe because it's the same fucking 40 images. He can't take risks, and the risks don't always work, but like when they do, they're incredible. And all of his stuff is just straight middle of the road. It's safe. So putting him on this book that is critiquing all of the aspects of modern comics, from fucking hack quips, which, I mean, if you look at the fucking Marvel movies, and I enjoy them, but they say quips more than I've been saying the word fuck today, and I've dropped it easily 40 times this episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, ranging from, God, literally having him be like, he's right behind me, isn't he? Let's not say we did. Like, having Thor being taken over by this hack fucking corporate Thor that Dario Agers created, and he's trying not to be this person, but he's thinking the lines. I don't know how to explain it. It's just weird.
Having the Minotaur in it being the guy being like, hey, come on, man. Like, let's just go try to do the best we can and make things turn out as best we can. Also, climate change is a lie.
Yeah. Like, who cares if a bunch of people are dying? Why should we let the death of a planet stop a better world or something like that? Like, it is taking all of the...
Oh, having a fingerprint swipe his hammer, but it taking 3 times?
So there is a thing that comics sometimes struggle with, where comics tend to have... People say superheroes are a conservative medium, and in some ways they are, but like comics tend to have very progressive ideals that sometimes clash against who owns the comic company. Welcome to creating art in a capitalistic world. Like, that's just how it exists. You know, you might make art that is explicitly pushing for anarchy or socialism or whatever, but you're still getting your paycheck from Disney or Amazon or Warner Brothers, you know, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
This book is deeply critical of that by making it just so over the top. And, I mean, putting product placement and making fun of smart devices. And, you know, here's a new Mjolnir. It's not just Mjolnir, it's Mjolnir
Premium.
Premium, that's what it was. Oh, my God. Here's my, like, truck that is kind of shaped like a hammer that's a giant gas guzzler, because...
It gets 9 miles a gallon.
But also, it probably sells really well in the toy aisle. Like, mocking product placement and giant corporations and books that have become so homogenized that they've lost anything to say other than product placement, which make them fucking gross.
Oh, it was fucking brilliant.
I
love it.
It's like 20 pages, and it's kind of hard to read because of that. Not hard to read, but like my brain just is like rebelling against it. It is one of the most interesting pieces of satire that comics have produced especially superhero comics, in decade, maybe since Next Wave.
Yeah, it's fucking brilliant. Like I said, I'm loving the rest of this. That might be the fucking best thing I've read so far of it. It's so fucking brilliant. Eventually, whatever problem I had with the art faded to the background. I fucking, something was bugging me at the beginning, but whatever it is isn't there anymore. Except for one thing, and it almost feels heretical to say this, but I am not that in love with the Alex Ross covers, as a lot of people seem to be. In fact, it's some of my least favorite Alex Ross that I've seen.
You know, I'm so torn on this. I like Alex Ross. Like, there's kind of 2 schools of thought on Alex Ross, it seems like. People who fucking love him because there is something interesting about the way Alex Ross just paints semi-realistic, like realistic other than the fact that it's still superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the seams and the dirty stuff. And then people who hate him for that. Like a lot of the Image creators, the Image founders, Eric Larson is very open and like, fuck Alex Ross. Like, he puts the seams and makes it realistic. I don't want realistic. I want superheroes. I exist somewhere in between. I like Alex Ross. I think his work tends to be good. It does tend to become, I mean, to use the term I was using, kind of homogenized. And he's been getting so much cover work lately. And I don't blame him. The way that he draws and paints, it has to take him 1.5 years to do a fucking 20-issue comic book. But he can do a painting a month, no problem. And he gets good money and they sell, and I will never begrudge him that.
Mm-hmm.
As an artist, I 100% agree. They have lost their impact for me because we're seeing them as often as we are.
Yeah, there's like maybe 1 or 2 of them that I was like, oh, I really like this. And the rest I was like, cool, this ranks in my bottom tier, Alex Ross.
Yeah, it's Alex Ross who's not trying that hard, is what it is. I like the issue 1, even though it's just Thor flying forward with like some blue lightning crackle around. But it's a more dynamic pose, and it's Alex Ross. It's the cover that's the most superhero out of them. A lot of them is just like, it feels posed.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
and it's fair. It's a painting. Historically, if you want to be done in a painting, you have to pose and stay like that for hours and hours and hours. But in the process, you kind of lose the lived-in feeling. One thing Alex Ross tends to do pretty well is, even though it's a classically painted thing, it sometimes still really looks like actual movement is happening. In too many of these, it just looks like a still life. That's my theory, at least.
And some of them, like, I don't know. There's one with him arm wrestling Hercules in a diner. It looks like a fucking Norman Rockwell to me.
It really does. And I'm sure that's on purpose. But
that doesn't do anything for me, especially when it comes to fucking superhero comics.
It feels like on purpose without commentary behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You can put superheroes in a Norman Rockwell painting. But you have to, like, make it feel bigger.
Like there's a purpose?
Yeah, like bigger than life. Like breaking out of that Norman Rockwell painting,
This might be the only one of the Alex Ross covers that I actually super dug. It's for issue 3.
Oh, yeah, where he's just... Well, I mean, there's more stuff happening there. Thor's trapped on an alien world. It's not as straightforward a picture. It's not just these two are arm wrestling while wearing funny costumes in a diner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the children of Thor standing around. It's like a glowing orb or something. I don't fully remember.
It's not him wrestling a green cat.
Is there one of those?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay. Oh, yeah, from the storytelling one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The storytelling one, I say, in Immortal Thor. But it like, the angle is different. It's not, in a lot of the other ones, oh, yeah, that's just there.
Yeah, see? I want to like that one more. It's weird enough that I should like it more.
It's busy, but not in a way that actually guides the eye anywhere. Like, I'm looking at this from an art criticism point, like my college art classes, and going, oh, no, you're right. These are just not very good paintings. The one that you have there, the horizon is not straight flat across, but at an angle, which shifts your eye and it drags it along. That one kind of just twists in on itself, but there's no point really for the eye to like start and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
They're all fucking meticulously done, but it's kind of what I was saying about Greg Land, but with Alex Ross. I wish I had looked up the colorist, because the colorist has been doing fantastic work in these issues.
Matthew Wilson.
Good job, Matthew Wilson. Colorists deserve more credit than they get. It's a hard job, too.
I'm so curious to see where it goes. But right now, there's still some mysteries up in the air. And there's not much we can talk about until some of those mysteries are settled.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what all the things that he ends up having to forge are. I've seen the first 2 now.
Well, because Mjolnir, and then he forges his axe, whose name I don't know yet.
Tormod.
Tormod. And then there will be another. I think he says that he has to forge.
So Mjolnir doesn't count.
No, sure. But he forges 3 things in total.
Yeah, so I've seen the first 2.
Okay. Cool. Now I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I love
and why he has to.
I love this stuff. Also, Thor getting trapped on an alien planet by Loki, who's forcing him to learn a lesson by pretending to be the villain, is so. It's such a fun little like one and done story that is part of a larger arc.
And that's a fun recurring bit is like Thor having to think his way out of problems.
Yeah. Well, because Thor's legendary for being, and then I hit it with a hammer.
And that's kind of what's been fun about it is every time he's been having to think his way out of problems, it's been a moment of reflection. Like, I am king now.
It's something that they've not always done well with Thor is now king of Asgard, and it becomes Thor has to be all serious now and can't go play, which is not what anyone wants from a King Thor. We still want Thor, who's a fucking adventurer god. He's he's the god of storms, the god of thunder. He's not Odin sitting like they kind of try to turn him into Odin, as opposed to seems much more what is Thor like as king, as opposed to what is Thor forced to become Odin.
What if the narrator is Utgard Odin?
They mentioned in one issue where he's like, we know there's an Utgard Loki and an Utgard Thor. Is there an Utgard? And then it just shows his dad. So I don't know. It's also interesting because Odin is a lot different now than he originally was. Because, okay, I admit, I don't know Asgardian legend well enough to know that if Bor, father of Odin, exists outside of Marvel Comics. But, like, because Odin created the Earth.
Yeah, Bor exists.
I
think so.
Bor became a much bigger character in comics over the last years, which means we see a young Odin. So I wonder if Bor could be. I don't know.
I think he's one of those ones that we don't know much about. He's mentioned twice in the Eddas, and Odin was occasionally referred to as Bor's son.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so he is the father of Odin, Vili, and V, the gods who created the first humans, but Odin still created the first humans. Okay. So it's kind of like how Zeus has a dad, but Zeus created humanity. Mm-hmm. All right. That works still. Yeah, I don't know if I have too much more. I love that there's mystery, considering that Thor first appeared in Journey into Mystery.
Nice.
Which Loki makes references to several times throughout the Ewing stuff. The Immortal books are interesting from Ewing because it's kind of, let's take the most, like, I don't know if Immortal X-Men does this, but, like, let's take the most kind of, like, pure distillized inspirations of these characters and really use that as the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Immortal Thor was all about the body horror and the trauma and tragedy. Not Immortal Thor. Immortal Hulk was all about the body horror and the eternal, like, tragedy and terror that is Hulk. And I know when he got...
And also weirdly gets into, like, Hulk smash and what it means to be a destroyer and who is he the destroyer for.
It's a weirdly beautiful book for a book that is so, I say this complimentarily, ugly.
Why does a destroyer need to exist?
Like, yeah, it's really going in the deep stuff. I don't know what Immortal X-Men does, because I've not really... If I remember, it's the book that is all about, like, the Quiet Council.
Okay.
No, he did. Did he write Immortal X-Men?
Um.
No, he wrote X-Men Red.
Yeah. Did
Kieran Gillen wrote Immortal X-Men, so it's not part of the. It's not part of his kind of Al Ewing's Immortal line. Yeah, because Immortal X-Men was about the Quiet Council, the leaders of Krakoa, and X-Men Red was all about Storm fucking off to Mars and like interacting with lost mutant civilizations there. Dude, X-Men Red was a wild book.
Okay. I'm still gonna have to read Immortal X-Men, I think.
Kieran Gillen is one of the greatest authors of his generation. Even if that book didn't sound wildly appealing to me, I cannot recommend anything he writes enough. Mm-hmm. He does The Wicked Plus Divine, others that I can't think of off the top of my head because I am very tired.
That happens.
Young Avengers Run, we read that one. That was, yeah. I think we should just kind of stop here.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say on it currently. I'm excited for it to continue.
If you are interested in Thor and enjoy like the movies but have never read much, this would be a great place to start. 20 issues total have come out. I don't think issue 20 has come out yet, but it's been like...
It's on the verge.
Drops.
Yeah.
January or whatever. It explores Thor in very interesting ways, and yes, it does build up. I've been talking about all the other Al Ewing properties and ideas that it's been borrowing from, but you didn't know any of that, and you didn't get any less of an experience.
Right. Because
of that, you just got a different one. So, like, it works for all levels. Also, it's fucking Time Lord shit, but gods. Like,
if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman, read this because it's about stories and that in the same way that he tends to write about stories.
Yeah, but without being nearly as depressing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna get pretty depressing. I think there's gonna get some downer shit. This is based off the Poetic Eddas to some level.
Yeah.
Speaking of Time Lords, next time it's time to dive into Doctor Who.
Who?
So hopefully we will have Heidi with us again, who has been with us for most of the Doctor Who stuff. It's just a matter of figuring out schedule. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, we should have Stephen with us back next time. We will be watching... The next 2 episodes will be Doctor Who. For the first one, we will be watching the 3 David Tennant specials and the first Shudigatwa episode, which is last year's Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road.
Sweet.
4 episodes total. Should be nice and easy.
Excited.
These are the ones I've seen, and I've not seen, like, I fell behind enough that I eventually was like, I know we're doing episodes on this. I'm just going to wait. And I'm glad I did, but also I'm like, thank fucking Christ we got to this.
I know the feeling.
Took so goddamn long.
So much Farscape.
Loved it. So goddamn long. Anyways, that's for later. In the meantime, we're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Dismissed.
Hi everybody, General Tyler here. If you like the show, please hit subscribe however you're listening to us right now. Also, if you could rate and review us however you're listening to us right now, or preferably over at Apple Podcasts, we would super appreciate it, as the whole world is around on algorithms, and we want to be all up in them, getting our voice out to more places. Also, tell your friends. We always appreciate that. If you want to get in contact with us, ask us questions, give us comments, email us generalnerderypod@gmail.com. You can also contact us through our website, www.generalnerdcast.com. While you're there, check out all of our back catalog, or click the links up at the top, as we are part of the Earworm Podcast Network. Go check out all of our sister shows. We're involved with most of them, so if you already like listening to us talk, it might be in your best interest. And if you want to check out everything from the network, head over to earworm.com, EARVVYRM.com. We'd super appreciate it. Love you all. Have a good one.